you have like the worst FNAF ideas in the history of FNAF.
Okay, what's your favorite FNAF game?
Well, I haven't actually played any of them.
Based on a lot of the comments I've been getting, I started to get suspicious that a lot of these fans hadn't actually played many of the FNAF games. Out of curiosity, I ran a poll. I enlisted the help of BATTINGTON, Ozone, and some others to try to collect as much data as we could. What I found astounded me. A member of the FNAF community has a higher probability of having played none of the games than they do having played all of them. Let that sink in for a second. Within a fandom where we'd expect people to be all over every little piece of content we get, an incredibly substantial amount of people are choosing not to play any of the games. If we change the metrics to people who have played one or less game versus those who have played more, we get a similar kind of picture. What's most interesting though is that most of my viewers, the vast majority, are not subscribed. Please consider subscribing if you're watching this video. Thank you. These results are pretty significant. I'm not a data scientist and I can't go into every little detail when it comes to things like bias and stuff. I do believe though that we can draw some pretty reasonable conclusions from this data. A substantial portion of the FNAF fanbase is made up of people who just don't play the games. Let that sink in again. Don't get me wrong, I have zero issue with fans who just watch Let's Plays and theory videos. If that's what makes you happy, that's awesome.
Holy shit, yeah!
However, we do need to consider the reality that this phenomenon is not good for FNAF's bottom line. It's not good for the franchise as a whole. If a significant portion of the fanbase isn't buying the games, it makes sense that Scott is going to turn towards other opportunities to monetize the franchise. The Illumix Gotcha game is a really great example of this. The books being targeted towards kids is also probably a result of this. Security Breach being toned down is also likely a result of this.
Oh, sorry. You don't know what that means, do you?
I don't think this problem is necessarily unique to FNAF. I think a lot of horror series, and especially indie horror series, have run into an issue with new media. Horror games, by nature, are most effective on their first playthrough. If you're playing a scary game for the second time, it's never going to be as scary as the first time, period. Considering the relatively low replayability of horror games, they generally aren't amazing value. It's hard to justify spending a lot of money developing AAA horror games, knowing that you'll be providing an 8 to 12 hour experience with very little replayability. A lot of gamers are just going to pass on that. People's budgets are tight, and I don't blame anyone for avoiding these kinds of games. Don't get me wrong, I personally am satisfied with a great 6-hour experience, even for $60 if it's really special. However, a lot of people just can't justify spending their money on a game like FNAF when they could get way more hours of entertainment from some big multiplayer game. There are of course games that have figured this out. Capcom manages to pull off grand, big budget, single player horror experiences, but they're also totally loaded with cash, so it's not really realistic to compare them to indie titles. It also doesn't help that so much great horror content is free these days. Games like SCP Containment Breach and even many of the early FNAF games were ultimately just straight up released for free. Despite the immense popularity of a series like FNAF, the series is still lagging behind in terms of monetizing the property. So many of their fans aren't buying the games, and I think that's why we're seeing so many plushies, toys, comic books, and other stuff like that. There's small things that younger viewers can convince their parents to buy them. Older fans who have lost interest in the games can show their support for the franchise by buying FNAF merchandise. From a financial standpoint, that stuff has probably been keeping the franchise afloat for quite a while now. Security Breach surely brought in a lot of revenue, and I assume that a lot of it will be profit at the end of the day. If that's the case, then we should expect the next few FNAF games to follow the same model of Security Breach. It's the most successful FNAF game to date. It's generated more revenue than any main series entry before it, and it's been extremely well received by players in spite of the myriad bugs and performance issues. I was really surprised by the fact that such a large portion of the FNAF community has played only one game or hasn't played any at all. Sure, some of those are newer FNAF fans who have only played Security Breach, but I think that's kind of negated by the fact that only a relatively small percentage of fans are diehard, played every game types of people. But what do you guys think? Have you played all the FNAF games? Have you only played a single FNAF game? Have you played none, yet are still watching this video? In which case, cool, thanks so much. How do you guys feel about such a large portion of the FNAF community appearing seemingly uninterested in most of the games? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, thanks for watching.